Before we dive into tonight's incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on these heart-pounding moments. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to you every week. Now, imagine this. Darkness. Not just the absence of light, but a thick, oppressive blanket woven from rain and howling wind. The kind of night where the world feels like it's trying to tear itself apart. For most of us, that's a signal to stay inside, to seek shelter. But for some, it's a call to action. This is the story of one of those nights and one of those people. Flight medic will call Alex. The call came in just after 2 a.m. A hiker lost 4 hours on a remote mountain trail had fallen. Broken leg, suspected internal injuries, and rapidly developing hypothermia. The terrain was too treacherous for a ground team to reach him before morning, and morning was a lifetime away. The only option was a helicopter, a thin-skinned machine against the full fury of a storm. Inside the cramped cabin of the rescue helicopter, the world was a symphony of chaos. The rhythmic thump-thwump-thwump of the rotor blades fought against the roar of the wind. Rain lashed against the cockpit window, momentarily blinding the pilots as they navigated by instruments and sheer nerve. Every lurch and drop of the aircraft was a physical jolt, a constant reminder of the razor's edge they were flying on. For Alex, this controlled chaos was just another day at the office. Or rather, another night. Strapped into his seat, surrounded by a meticulously organized array of medical equipment, he was the calm center of the storm. He wasn't ignoring the danger, he was compartmentalizing it. His focus was singular, the patient. He ran through the scenarios in his head, a mental checklist of procedures and protocols. What would he need first? Tourniquet? 4 lines? Warming blankets? Every second he saved in preparation now would be a second that could save a life later. The pilot's voice crackled over the headset, strained but steady. We're approaching the search area. Eyes open. Alex peered out the window, his gaze scanning the churning darkness below. The powerful searchlight on the chopper cut a cone of white through the rain, sweeping across endless trees and unforgiving rock faces. It felt like searching for a needle in a haystack. If the haystack was a mountain and it was actively trying to kill you, minutes felt like hours. The wind battered the helicopter, a relentless bully trying to shove them out of the sky. Then, a flash of color, caught for a split second in the beam of the searchlight. A piece of a bright blue jacket. There, got him. 3 o'clock, down in the ravine. Now, the real challenge began. They couldn't land. The ground was too steep, too unstable. This would be a hoist rescue. The flight engineer slid open the cabin door, and the storm wasn't just outside anymore. It was in the cabin with them. A deafening, freezing blast of wind and rain that stole your breath and chilled you to the bone. Alex unclipped his seatbelt and moved toward the open door, the safety tether connecting him to the aircraft, the only thing between him and a fatal fall. He clipped into the hoist cable, giving a final thumbs up to the crew. Then he was out, suspended in the violent night. Feeling is indescribable. One moment you're in the relative security of the helicopter, the next you're a tiny human pendulum swinging at the mercy of the wind, hundreds of feet above the ground. The noise was overwhelming, the rotors above the wind all around. The world shrank to just the length of the cable and the small illuminated circle of ground below. As he was lowered, the trees reached for him like skeletal fingers. Branches whipped past his face. He had to use his hands and feet to fend them off, to keep from getting tangled. It was a brutal, physical descent. Below him, he could see the hiker, a crumpled shape at the base of a small cliff. Finally, his boots touched the muddy ground. He unclipped from the hoist, and for a moment, the silence was jarring. The roar of the helicopter was still there, but it was distant, muffled by the terrain. Here in the ravine, the dominant sounds were the wind whistling through the rocks and the steady drumming of the rain. He scrambled over to the hiker. The man was conscious, but barely. His lips were blue, his skin ice-cold to the touch. Alex's training took over completely. There was no time for fear, no time for the storm. There was only the patient. With practiced efficiency, he assessed the injuries. A compound fracture of the tibia, just as suspected. He worked quickly, cutting away the soaked trouser leg, applying a traction splint to stabilize the bone, minimizing pain and preventing further damage. Every movement was a struggle. His fingers, numb with cold, fumbled with the clasps and straps. The rain soaked through his gear, plastering it to his skin. He started an IV, a difficult task on a cold, dehydrated patient, pushing warm saline to fight the hypothermia from the inside out. He wrapped the man in a specialized, heat-reflecting blanket, a cocoon of fragile warmth against the relentless cold. Throughout it all, he kept talking, a calm, reassuring voice in the heart of the tempest. "Hey, my name is Alex. I'm a medic. We're going to get you out of here. You're doing great. Just stay with me." He wasn't just treating the body. Wow. He was treating the spirit. He was a lifeline of hope in a hopeless situation. With the patient stabilized and packaged securely in the rescue litter, the hardest part was yet to come. Alex reattached the hoist cable to the litter and then to his own harness, gave the signal a flash of his headlamp. The journey up was even more terrifying than the journey down. Now he was responsible for 2 lives, shielding the patient's body with his own as the wind tried to spin them into the cliff face. The ascent was a blur of gritted teeth and burning muscles. He felt the litter snag on a branch and had to kick them free. He twisted and turned, keeping them from slamming into the rocks. It was a violent, chaotic dance between man, machine, and nature. Finally, the floor of the helicopter appeared above them. Eager hands reached out, pulling them from the roaring abyss into the relative safety of the cabin. The door slammed shut, and the storm was once again pushed outside. The noise dropped. The wind was gone. Inside, there was only the steady beat of the rotors and the beeping of the medical monitor Alex had already attached to his patient. As the helicopter banked and turned for the hospital, Alex didn't rest. He was already working, rechecking vitals, administering pain medication, preparing his handover report for the trauma team waiting on the ground. The adrenaline was still pumping, but a quiet sense of satisfaction began to settle in. They had done it. They had gone into the storm and pulled a life from its jaws. Landing on the hospital helipad felt like arriving in another world. Bright lights, smooth concrete, a waiting team of doctors and nurses. The transition was seamless. Alex gave his report, a concise summary of injuries and interventions, as they wheeled the patient into the emergency room. And then, just like that, his job was done. The patient he had fought so hard for was gone, absorbed into the hospital system. Walking back to the helicopter, the rain had eased to a drizzle. The wind had lost its bite. The city lights glowed softly on the wet tarmac. For Alex, the night wasn't over. There would be cleaning, restocking, and debriefing. And then waiting for the next call, because the storm is always out there, somewhere. And people like Alex will always be ready to fly into its heart, guided by skill, courage, and the simple, powerful drive to save a life. That's the reality for helicopter medics around the world. It's a job that demands a unique blend of medical expertise, physical toughness, and mental fortitude. It's about being the calm in the chaos. Okay? It's about bringing hope when there is none. Stories like these remind us of the incredible courage and dedication of our first responders. If you were as moved by this story as I was, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to see it. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories of real-life heroes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.